Hey everybody, it's Patrick the Pitch Deck. Let's go ahead and talk about the article that James White just put out for the banned and restricted announcement coming September 9th to Classic Constructed. Unfortunately, I was gonna go ahead and do the sad violin for KANO, but you may as well know that it might be the nail in the coffin for PitchStacking. That kind of kills my name because we are a PitchStacking fan. When it comes to KANO in particularly, we have our PitchStacking guide video in the corner right up here, as well as going to be in the description, but it's going to be rendered moot. Even though I may have discussed it, we're going to have to update it, probably make a new video. There's going to be different ways to pitch stack, but it doesn't necessarily put KANO in the nail in the coffin for KANO. Tempo and chip damage is going to be a little bit more prevalent now. You're going to have more opportunities to get a better mix of non-clunky hands when it comes to tempo, because sometimes you do get those opening hands turn 0 when you're going second against the opponent, and you have like a couple of blues and a couple of reds, one of them being Tome of Aetherwind in your hand, and it really just it's when you don't need it at the time, it really feels bad. And that's where they come to the description of Tome of Aetherwind. We're going to get right into this one being the very first card that they have on the list. They do have Time of Find Out. We'll come back to that in a second, but Tome of Aetherwind is kind of a flux card in between tempo or stacking whenever it comes to drawing cards, or amp, quote unquote. It's just a buff card for that reason. When it comes to Tome of Aetherwind, there is the awkwardness that I mentioned before, and they had kind of tapped in on it when it comes to that. That is kind of in the middle of like 2 people can abuse it. That's gonna probably be enough where it's KANO and Acilio. They're just taking tomes right out of the gate. And they might know something more than what we know, because currently a lot of people who are testing Acilio, like myself, here's a kind of a rough idea. I don't have any tomes, and we don't even have Thunderstep in the deck anymore. It's starting to feel a little clunky. I'm testing still. I'm doing some gold fishing, but when it comes to Tome of Aetherwind, you have the opportunity to use your action point in KANO with buff, or buff, draw, or draw. Those are the 3 outcomes that you can use whenever you're playing Tome of Aetherwind. But the bread and butter of why they're taking it away is probably to kind of hone in on KANO. Probably needs to be toned down just a little bit on pitch stacking. They actually come about the pitch stacking OTK, where its path of victory requires pitch stacking a completed and memorized pitch stack over many turns. So that is probably one of the main reasons why they are banning Tome of Aetherwind. Again, it doesn't necessarily kill the Tome of Aetherwind, Tome of Find Out plan for pitch stacking, because those cards are going to be out, but you can still pitch stack. They're to a point where you can safely put out your potions, as well as making it to where you can just wildfire, maybe blazing, and just put a blazing in your arsenal. But there's a lot of times where you don't necessarily need all those resources, and it's just too much of a solitaire fest of stacking your pitch stack with just a bunch of 15 cards in the pitch stack. And I'm guessing that's one of the considerations, even they may not put it in. It's the main reason is they're bypassing the action point by using it to gain extra cards. They put it in for Acilio here and Acilio here in Tome of Aetherwind. They may have just maybe thinking, okay, they're going to play maybe Thunderstep, and that's probably what they're going to use to get around that action point, because it is really nice. I have my camera, I just realized. Let's go ahead and put this up here really quick. And let's go ahead and go there we go. That way you guys can read what I'm reading and kind of see a little bit more. But when it comes to Tome of Find Out, there is not just the wizards that we can get around with it with KANO, as well as maybe Acilio, is that Dash.O is probably going to be receiving more support in her armory deck. So action point economy from her being able to get the crank items off the top, you can really shine when it comes to Tome of Find Out turns for burst damage. So it's probably going to tone her down just a little bit. She's not necessarily like really S tier, A tier. She's solid, like probably B plus to A minus. So she's in that A minus B plus tier. I don't really doing much of a tier list, but she has been showing up a little bit here and there, and the people who have put the most time in, like Mara Ferris, to be able to show the output that Dash IO can do. A lot of times the burst damage comes with Tome of Find Out, but with these two tomes for Kano, pitch stacking becomes just so much more harder. Not necessarily kills it outright, it just depends on what you can do with the deck coming into the world premiere of Rosetta for Tampa, because of the fact that we only have I think it's one Majestic for Lightning, and of course that doesn't apply for Kano, but it applies for Acilio. So we have Channel Valley, Lightning Valley, but then we have 4 more Lightning Majestics that we need to see, as well as 4 more Majestics for Wizards. So we could potentially be getting 12 new cards, but taking away 6. So there is room to make more adjustments because of Tome of Find Out and Tome of Aether Wind's gone. It stings right there at the beginning, like kind of like a shock. You know what I'm saying? Like Art of War and BANS, that was on people's mind, right? And I'm so glad that James said this was actually slated for October, right during here. So after the world premiere of Rosetta, people can adjust, but I'm so glad that they pushed it now, so that before the world premiere, that we can actually see what kind of classic constructed meta that we're going into. So with this, these 2 of these are gone. I do have a rough idea of how I'm building it. So we had to remove all the D-Reacts. February has a weird way of doing D-Reacts. Like the remove is on top, but when you come down here, the remove is on the bottom. Maybe they did that on purpose, I'm not sure. But whenever it comes to Enigma and Kano mirrors, those are still gonna have you stacking to the point where you just need to keep up with the world. It's kind of a hard word to say, but the word ward, yeah, there you go. That is what you have to do to keep the board clear from Enigma, because if there's just so much damage prevention that they're going to have, that you just can't do anything to them. So there are going to be stacking matchups that you can still stack. Now this was just an idea. I have not yet gone through to see if Rousing Ether is going to be prevalent, or maybe even red flare or yellow flare. So this is just going to be straight into the deck no matter what. I think it's just going to be in there. There is possibility that booms come in, but it's only going to be into the inventory. Yes, there is Kindles, but we just took out 3 whiffs out of the deck, so it's just more prevalent to put this in. Currently, I only have 9 more slots into the deck. Our equipment suite doesn't really change too much whenever it comes to the mainstay of trying to test what we need to test. I'm going down to 2 potions of deja vu. I had 3 initially, but when it comes to making sure that they're kind of even number in a way, it's not even, but in cards that you can put in your deck, it's kind of nice to have 33. I used to have 34, so we're gonna try 33, because now we have 3 cards that we can just put 3 copies in and go about our day. Again, this is probably going to change because of the fact that we don't know the 4 Majestic Wizard cards that have yet to be spoiled. They're probably already thinking that the design space of those tomes with Kano hurts so much. And there's also Tome of Divinity from... Oh, I'm sorry. I'm thinking of Tome of Duplicity. And that is another KANO card, but it's not necessarily a cost that we can just say it's free and we can do whatever we want. There is some other things that we can say effectively that it's coming in, and we don't necessarily, the card fucking sucks. Let's just go ahead and put it out there. The card fucking sucks. So that's not why it's not even mentioned in this here, because it's a Y art, three of a kind, Tome of Harvest, Tome of Imperial Flame, Tome of the Arc Knight. Bloodrush Bellows also, it was mentioned, I think, but they said that there's a cost, there's an alternative cost, but it's only when you pair that up with Beast Within that you get that card back. So this very well may just be gone in a lot of fucking decks. I'm talking a lot. This is going to drop it down so much that you may just probably need to go back to Crown of Providence. So I think this just needs to be a mainstay because it fixes your dead hands. And Art of War, Bloodrush Bellows still is in for KO, but I'm kind of jumping around a lot over the place when it comes to this announcement. So we can kind of like talk a little bit, but again, this could be changed. We can probably bring back Snapback into the point where we can go maybe Swell gets a 2 of into the inventory, and maybe Chain Lightning because it's a 1 of Silver Bullet a lot of the time. Put that in the inventory. So we got 3 more cards, and then we can just bounce around to different ideas. Maybe there is the possibility that we can keep the Cinderings for Kindle. Again, not really impressed so far with how Cindering has been shaping. We can go Exploding Ether. There's a lot of different things because this is a go again wizard action that can be cheating off the action points. It's not necessarily free, but because we have to pay 5 resources for this to get a free action point, but then we do get a buff 3 on it. So I think going forward right now, as of recording this video, right after seeing the article that we're gonna have to wait for a good bit of the Majestics. If I was going to go into Armory tonight, because there is a CC Armory, and I'm not going because I didn't want to show up twice in like last month I went in and I 3-0'd, and along with 2 other people, or 4-0'd. Yeah, there's 4. So I went 4-0, and I don't want to do it again, but with that being said, I think that it was a good opportunity to play for Tome of Aetherwind for the last time in CC. However, it's not dead in Living Legend. That is a point to think about because of the fact that Icelander and these new wizards are going to be coming in with Verdance and Ocilio, because I think Verdance you're going to have to pitch stack. Maybe Ocilio, I don't know about that. We'll have to see, because just in general, wizard mirrors are going to go long. You're going to be racking up Alluvian Constellation counters with Waning Moon. So there's going to you're going to be going to second cycle just no matter what. But pitch stacking has to be done with Icelander no matter what. And tomes are going to help you out so much in that, because if Living Legend, just like if they cut that out for Living Legend, you're just done playing KANO into Icelander, and it's incredibly Icelander favored because you need buffers. There's just so many cards that you have to pitch into your pitch stack that is going to be so convoluted. You have to have those tomes for those buffers or you're fucked. And Channel Lake Frigid kind of just puts the damper on a lot of different things. So that's pretty much my entire rant. I think it's a wait game for the Rosetta World Premiere to see how we go against the new cards that we're going to be presented. Again, 12 potential cards can be into this deck. After this weekend, What remains to see, maybe on the conservative side, 6 of these cards are being taken out to replace maybe 6 that we can put in. We don't know. Some of them may be instants. It might be a wizard instant card, a generic instant for that, but time will tell. Time will tell. It doesn't necessarily kill KANO just outright. I think it might be a good thing. We can have a little bit more design space with KANO. They are really good to help out the higher highs to make the damage burst turns with KANO more impressive. So it kind of tones them down just a little bit, but doesn't necessarily outkill the deck if you were to ban Ether Wildfire. But that's all I've got, guys. Thank you so much for watching. That's my thoughts. I was rambling on a little bit, but hopefully you got the gist. Thank you guys so much for watching.